Welcome back, sporting fans, to another spectacular episode of the Paint the Wall podcast. I, as always, am your host, Steve, and I am joined this week by a man who thinks marshmallows are a government conspiracy, but you all know him as Logan.
Well, yeah, because like they don't make any sense because they're kind of like solid, but then they're like goopy and they melt at really weird temperatures and they just don't make any sense. They can't be not a government conspiracy. So there's something in disguise, 100%.
You know, we put marshmallows and chocolate inside of egg roll wrappers last night, and it was delicious. I gotta be honest.
I could see that being the case. I could see them.
They were pretty good. My sister made egg rolls, and I was frying them, and she's like, "Can I use these marshmallows?" I'm like, "Sure." So she brought me out 4 little s'more egg rolls, if you will. They were honestly pretty good. We need to freeze the marshmallows next time.
Okay. Sure.
Because a lot of it leaked out. But if we freeze them, that won't happen.
Right.
But they were pretty good, honestly.
Huh.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Cool. Well,
so what I'm saying is we invited the government, per your beliefs, we invited the government to our dinner last night.
Correct. You did. You did.
Fine by me, because if they supply the marshmallows, I'm in. You know,
that's a fair point. I give you credit for that.
You know,
yeah.
Well, let's get into this one because we finally have an episode that we want to talk about.
Right. Finally, for once, we have one.
As you can see, right below, we're talking about the dominating win. I don't know, dominating the 2-1 win with Maurice Edu calling the game for Apple TV live from Seattle. This was a great game. Oh, that's my bad. This one was in Kansas City. That was last year that we kicked off our comeback in Seattle and won 2-1 with Maurice Edu calling it from Apple TV. This year, same everything, except it was in Kansas City. So
interesting. All right.
I don't think there was a red card, and obviously Vargas was, I think, 11 last year. I think.
Right, for sure.
So he wasn't old enough to play in the MLS.
Yeah.
So, wow, what a game, though! What a game!
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, listen, take anything away from it, it was a win. That's honestly all I care about. It was a great game. I was there. I was in the Cauldron. I had some friends from out of town. I got to take to not only their first soccer game, but I got to take to their first sporting game. And of course, I insisted on being in the Cauldron. They are what I am referring to as Ted Lasso converters. They both hated soccer, but they both loved Ted Lasso and managed to hook him in just enough. Cool. And they both, quote, had a fantastic time. So,
well, yeah, because we won. If we had lost, they would have been like, "This is the dumbest sport ever," Logan.
I made sure not to tell them that we were trash until after they purchased tickets.
That's funny.
Once the tickets were purchased, and I was like, "Oh, by the way, we are hot garbage."
Yeah, because this game very likely could have been 4-1, and we score in the 93rd minute, and they're like, "No, I don't ever want to go to another one of these." You know, that is very likely what could have happened.
Right, 100%, and honestly, probably should have happened. Another one of those we had no right winning that game, but
I would disagree with that. We definitely
going into the game we had no.
Oh, right. I thought you meant as the run of play. I was like, you were there. No. You should have felt it more than I did. But I'm sure 12 minutes into this game, you were like, okay,
yeah.
Remember, guys, when I told you, he's gonna score 3 more just like that. Just so you know.
Yeah, 12 minutes into the game, I was very like, welp, this will be great. It was a fun little 12 minutes we had.
Yeah, you can be like, so guys, fun story. Last year when we played Seattle here in this stadium, Jordan Morris scored about 10 minutes in, and then he literally scored 3 more times in the same game and scored 4 goals against us. So we are clearly in for another one of those.
Yep.
Not so much.
Not so much.
We'll get this out of the way quickly. That Jordan Morris goal was pretty pathetic. Not a whole lot of defense on that one. Well, okay. It was misplayed defense is what it was.
Right.
Because our center backs, Fonte and Castellanos, who both played really well, by the way.
Yeah.
Get that out of the way right away. Castellanos great game.
Yeah.
Great game.
For
Fontas,
sure.
you got beat a lot of times, but it didn't cost us any goals this time.
Right.
They played that offsides trap correctly.
Correct. They did.
Jake Davis and Tim Leibold did not. So
Right.
they
Right.
held, and then Tim Leibold did not chase down Jordan Morris or really do
Correct.
anything.
Right.
Morris one-on-one. Not Peter. Tim does what he can, but
Right. I mean, Leibold. I give Jake. I mean, obviously, Jake Davis and Tim Leibold did not play it correctly. I
Mhm.
give Jake a slight bit of more credit because he was obviously much further away from Morris. Tim Leibold, the man's right in front of you. You have to know how an offside trap works
Mhm.
to play professional soccer, and you
Mhm.
clearly don't. And then whenever you do fail the offside trap test, you then have to go get the guy,
Mhm.
not just watch.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that was pretty poor for sure.
Mhm. But at the same time, inevitable. It's Jordan Morris in Kansas City. He's going to
Yeah.
score at least a goal. The fact that he only got
Mhm.
one is pretty mind blowing because they
Yeah.
did try to put that same ball in a couple more times.
Yeah,
And he
for
had a
sure.
few more chances, but
Mhm.
just didn't seem to matter.
Right.
7 minutes later, Johnny
Mhm.
putting the team up on his back. I got this, guys. Takes a one-time shot that should have been saved, but wasn't.
Correct.
Which is good because I hate Stephen Fry. So there's nothing better than watching him miss saves that he should have had.
Yeah, but I know we've talked about this before on the podcast. The man's got amazing tattoos.
Yeah, that's true.
Back tattoo is unreal.
Yeah, he does have great tattoos, but now he has blonde hair
Right.
that looks really stupid. So
Yeah, it
I don't
doesn't
know
work.
when that has become a thing, but apparently it has recently. So
Yeah.
I don't like that one, but I
Anyway,
I hate Stephen Fry so much. So
valid. That's valid.
watching him miss that one, and then we'll get to the big one here in a little while. But
Yeah.
that was just so much fun. So
Sure.
let's see, what else did I have in here? I said early, we look hungry and creative. I just hope it
Mhm.
sticks. It did.
It did.
Our offense just looked a lot better. I know we only got 2 goals, but they just. I mean, let's look at some statistics here. I feel like we outpossessed by a lot. Wow, that's a lot closer. 56-43, basically.
Right.
That's a lot closer than I would have thought.
That's weird. According to oh wait, wrong game.
Yeah, that again, we played Vancouver 2 weeks ago, so
I know.
we can. Yeah, 56.6 to 43.4 is what I'm seeing on ESPN.
Yeah, MLS is a little different, but close enough.
I would have guessed that number would have been a lot higher because I just feel like we had the ball the entire game pretty much.
I agree. 100%.
16 shots, 4 on target. They only had 1 on target, obviously the goal. Really nothing else major. They had a red card. And 3 yellow, 1 yellow. Wait, that doesn't even make sense. Oh, I guess it goes in as a red card, not as the second yellow.
It definitely goes in as a second yellow.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like on the stats thing, it just says 1 and then 1 red card.
Yeah. MLS says 2 yellow cards.
Yeah,
So
it should be. That's how I would read it, but whatever. Who cares? We know what happened.
One of these days, we really got to decide which one we're looking at and just do the same thing.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
No, you're right. Never.
Boosie, I know you were there, so you weren't listening to the Apple TV broadcast, but Busio was on for a little while.
Ooh, fun. I knew he was there. They showed him before the match, but
yeah, he went up in the booth and was on with Maurice Edu and the other guy whose name I can't remember.
Cool.
He apparently was staying with Jake Davis. That he said that they're best friends. So
good.
Which is just adorable. You know,
that is adorable. I love that for all of them.
He did also say that he watches every game that he can. It's usually highlights because of the time difference. But if he said if he can, he watches every sporting game he can.
Nice. I love that.
So I think that's delightful.
That is delightful. I love that.
Yeah.
Baby Busio. I miss him.
Yeah, me too. Let's see. I put early Shall We playing like a madman, which we need it. That was an early note because I do feel like Shall We didn't really do anything the whole game.
Yeah.
Which mirrors his performances from pretty much every other game this year.
Yeah, agreed.
Where it like seems like he's running hard and he's hustling, That's about it. So
Right, right. I don't think anybody's questioning the work ethic, but we're definitely questioning the what are you doing?
mhm,
It's just he's just all over the place. He just doesn't I don't he's lost his mojo. I just don't think he knows where to be. Wouldn't quite call it yips, but it's like he just doesn't know where to be and he just lost his mojo. He just doesn't know what to do anymore. And it's so strange.
mhm. Honestly, I felt the same way about Polito this game and the last few games too. It feels like
Yeah.
Polito is always out of position,
Agreed. 100%.
which is a bigger problem for your
Mhm.
9 than it is for your left winger.
Right.
But it's also a bad problem when your left winger also is never in the right spot.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. It's just it's so many times, like, I don't know what it was about watching it live, but there are so many times watching it live, and I was like, "Oh, he's just not where he's supposed to be." That was a great pass to where Polito was supposed to be,
mhm.
but the problem is with Polito is I don't even feel like he's running as hard. Like, he's just not where he's supposed to be, and he's not running.
Yeah.
It's just silly. I hate it.
I don't really get it either, but honestly, I don't know if Willie got his. I mean, Willie got runs harder, and he's
Right.
usually in the right spot, but he can't hit
Right.
the broadside of a barn. So
Right, right.
it's like,
He puts it in Clay County. It's
yeah, I don't. That's not any
mm,
better. I mean, I
right.
guess it is because at least if you're getting a shot off, you got a chance to score. But if you can't even get a shot off,
Yeah,
the
I
ball's not going
guess.
in the net if you're not there to put a shot in.
At this point, I think we've seen what we're going to see out of both of them. I think I'd rather have Polito because at least he has the clinical finishing.
Yeah.
But it's infuriating. Like it's so silly we're paying this man so much money, and we'll continue to do so for the next 2 years. And
Hmm.
he's just not where he's supposed to be.
Yeah. He did have a couple chances. He had that cool turn, that cool volley
Yeah,
turn shot that I think was away
yeah,
from you guys, so you probably didn't get as good a look on it.
not a
But
great look. But I saw the highlight
yeah, that
when they
that was
played it.
cool. Just
Mhm.
a good chance, just didn't. It was
Right,
saved pretty easily. But
you're right. Yeah,
um,
right.
so
It
he's
was
when he is there, he makes stuff happen. So yeah, I guess you're
right.
right. I think I'd rather have him
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
Um, but we'll come back to that. I want to finish just the brief game recap, and then we can
Do
talk
it.
some hypotheticals because I have a few that I
I
want
would
that I want to go over with you. So
love it. Let's do it.
we'll just jump straight into second half there. Of course,
Yep.
they showed an interesting stats at the beginning that we have 9 goals from distance, which leads the MLS.
I have heard similar stats before. I mean, we've scored a
That's,
lot of them
yeah, distance meaning outside the
outside the
penalty box
box.
for
Yeah.
anybody who doesn't know what that means. But outside the box, we have 9, which leads the MLS. So
Hmm.
that's kind of wild.
It
Um,
is.
and yet we suck are in second to last. So
Right.
or have sucked recently. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I put a note in here. I like to type. I know I've said this before. I like to type notes while I'm watching, and
Uh huh.
sometimes it's just my thoughts that seep in to
Sure.
the notes. I put a note that said, "Okay, 64th minute. Let's get some subs in." And then maybe 2 minutes later, I put, "Oh wow, it's actually happening!" Like, "Oh, we're
Um.
actually
Yeah.
doing it. Oh, cool."
Yeah. And it was really exciting. And I just want to convey the emotions I went through in this moment. Is it
Uh-huh,
was really exciting to see some blue jerseys. I couldn't quite see who they were.
uh-huh,
And then the feeling of shock and horror when I saw the green number go on the very first board of number 11.
uh-huh.
Which for those of you who don't quite know numbers off the top of your head, that is Kyrie Shelton.
Mm-hmm.
So that was horrifying.
Sure.
I'm like, this is going to be the longest 28 minutes of my life.
Boy, were you wrong.
Boy, was
Uh,
I wrong.
yeah, we get Kyrie in for Jake,
Uh-huh.
making another appearance at right back.
Yep.
We'll get to that here in just a second.
Yep. We will.
Vargas in for Shallowy with the possible ankle injury.
Yep.
And Felipe in for Memo.
Yeah.
Other than Vargas in for Shallowy, I think those are 3. Probably the other 2 are expected subs, I would say.
Right. I would agree.
I would say I would say that this sub now makes Kyrie for Jake an expected sub. Like this is like the third
Mhm.
time that it's happened, so it's like, okay, this is obviously a thing that's not going away, and it went well last game because we got a goal out of it. Even though
Right.
it was a garbage time, it didn't matter.
Mhm.
Still, okay, this is
Right.
obviously a thing that we need to get used to. Um,
Maybe. Maybe. Yeah. I agree. It probably is.
yeah,
It's yeah. Yeah. Anyway, keep going. Yeah.
yeah. At Felipe and for Memo, yeah, like for
Sure.
like, why not?
Yep.
Felipe's been playing great, continued to play great. which I love. I love Felipe, so I'm glad we're seeing that. Vargas obviously usually comes in for Johnny, but I think he's come in for Shallowy several times, so I think it's kind of a whoever's more tired, or in this case, whoever gets their ankle broken on a play that doesn't get a red card.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah,
did we hear anything about him yet?
I had heard something about a high ankle sprain potentially, not as bad as it looked. So, I would be not shocked if he doesn't play on Saturday.
Right. Keep going. I'm looking at a couple Twitter people.
They did flip-flop Johnny and Vargas to let Vargas play on the right side, which is his preferred side. No problems there, especially now, which put Kyrie and Vargas on that same right side. That is a ton of speed coming down that right side, especially in the 70th minute or whenever those subs were made. Scrolling through trying to find when those were made. 72nd minute is when all those subs were made.
Correct.
So we get the last, 18 minutes plus stoppage time of just constant speed going at their defenders who are tired and on a yellow card. Which, of course, we did learn from the post-game presser with Vargas. Peter made him well aware that Reed Whiting was on a yellow card. And basically said, do what you do.
Right.
Like, burn him, try to get him to draw that second yellow card. And it took him about 47 seconds. His first touch, he turns the ball and he puts it around Baker Whiting and blows past him.
Right.
Baker Whiting had no choice but to pull him to the ground. He's in on goal.
Yeah.
So there's your second, which I also learned this was Baker Whiting's first MLS start.
Oh, yikes.
I did not know that. I didn't hear that until it was actually today. It might have been no other pod. I think they mentioned that it was his first MLS start. I'm like, well, welcome to the league. There's 2 yellows and a red. See you in 2 weeks.
Sucks. Yeah, I would say it's not. I don't know. I have a hard time pinning that one on him really hard, but yeah, he should have done better than that.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's one of those like, this is quite possibly one of, if not the fastest people in the league right now. I've seen some stats that hint that he is the fastest, but easily probably top 3 fastest kids in the league. He just burned past you in a tie game.
Right.
You're not going to let him go one-on-one with a keeper. You kind of got to do what you got to do. And it's like, well, this sucks that I got that earlier card, but here we go.
Yeah.
So it kind of is what it is, but worked out well for us. So
yeah, it did.
Second. And then what is it? That happened in the 73rd minute.
Right.
Goal happens in the 85th minute. So 10 minutes later, we get another assist from Kyrie. Gorgeous pass. What a pass.
It was a really good pass.
What a gorgeous pass. Vargas in his post-game interview said he looked up. His initial thought was find somebody for an assist. He said there was nobody there, so I decided to shoot. Puts a shot that I wouldn't have expected. I would think from that. Well, first of all, from that angle, I don't know why you'd shoot at all.
Right.
But from that angle, I would expect them to go high and try to hit the top over the keeper.
Correct. I agree.
He goes low. Stephen Fry looks like an absolute moron.
Right.
Right in between his legs into the goal. Game winner. We'll take that any day of the week, you know?
Yeah.
A couple more subs. A lot of heart-wrenching stuff going on. I don't know how you felt. I assume your heart rate was pretty high. Mine was. I felt like I was going to puke.
It was so bad.
A couple of really bad free kicks given to Seattle that should never have happened, but it didn't matter because they didn't score. Just like last year. Taking out Seattle to start our comeback.
I do want to see. Hang on. I'm trying to see if I can find my fitness data from Saturday, because I'm very curious if you can see it.
Just what your heart rate is, like up and down, and then 12 minutes of just. Actually, it was 7 minutes, which is right. 7
of stoppage time.
7 minutes. Ridiculous. I don't know where 7 minutes comes from, but
I was fine with it because I said I was guessing 6, so I was okay with it.
It didn't feel like there was that much stoppage, but it also felt like there was nothing that happened for most of that second half. So it just felt really boring and I didn't notice the stops. But
Well, I mean, you're thinking Shallowy had a pretty lengthy injury. There was a couple
yeah,
more that were decently long. I'm fine with it. I think it was legit.
that's fair. I
Okay.
guess it'll work. Either way, it didn't end up mattering. We managed to hold on. Like I said, brought a few subs in. Agata comes in for Polito finally, but really that was just for fresh legs and to help them with speed to get the ball up into the corner to kill it, which ended up
Right.
being how we held off and got that win. So
Mhm.
I'll
Yeah.
take it.
There's can you guess the little snippet of win?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's
So,
good.
yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any more thoughts or things you want to say about the game specifically before we move on to our two topics that I want to talk about?
Daniel Sperry did tweet. Shallowy was rolling through the locker room with one of those scooter thingies. Vermes had no update on his status after the match. That usually lines up. Peter doesn't usually have too much after game. We will likely hear something tomorrow. We're usually recording after media availability, so we have one little less day than what we usually do. But we should hopefully hear something tomorrow about his availability and what that looks like. But the fact that they're not immediately saying, yeah, it's broken is a good sign.
I agree. I think that kind of, well, actually, let's do since we're talking about the game specifically, let's do our MVP and MVP.
Okay. Sure.
And then, because one of my topics is kind of about the game, but really about going forward. And then the other one has nothing to do with that at all. So
sure, makes
we'll
sense.
just close this out. Hit me with your
Okay.
MVP. I think there's two obvious ones. Let's see if I'm right.
So I wanted to give it to Johnny because Johnny had a really, really good strike. And as much as it should have been saved, I thought it was a really pretty shot. But in my opinion, it has to go to Vargas. Earning the red card 40 seconds in and then scoring the game winner on it wasn't a pretty shot, but he scored the game winner. To me, it has to be Vargas. I'll let you take the other one if you want.
So my other one is going to Kyrie.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, I was gonna say I don't know if that. I thought it would be, but then judging by when you said I saw that number 11 come up in green, I was like, maybe we don't have the same thoughts on Kyrie.
No. It was horrifying in the moment, but it turned out to be all right.
Yeah. I think Kyrie's been honestly brilliant, really this whole season. With a couple like small little blunders here and there, but overall, I think he's been brilliant. This game, great.
Yeah.
Again, this game was great.
Defenders are really, really hard to judge because one mistake is a goal.
Yeah.
But I think if we look at it really objectively, I think I agree. He's done really, really well this season, and he's transitioned into a very unique position very well. I don't think he's going to be filling that spot every game. I don't think like he's going to be like a defensive lockdown, right out the lead kind of guy. But when we need a little bit more offense, it's not a bad move.
No, I think 100% I agree with you. He is, you can still tell that he's not a defender. Even in this game, he got burned a couple times, and it was very obvious he got burned because he's not a defender.
Right.
Like, he doesn't really know how to turn right and that kind of stuff. But I think in those moments, you have to just rely on your center backs to step up, which they did this game. And he is very much a right back for when we're down a goal, for when we need a goal, like now.
Essentially, like the way he's kind of operating is it's kind of operating as a 3-back almost. And he's kind of pushing more into a midfield winger role, and it's working really well. It's doing what we want it to. So
he has that attacking mindset. He's big, so he can push people off the ball. He has good delivery. That pass to Vargas was incredible. The pass to Janice last week was great. I'm cool with it. Honestly, I don't mind it at all. If that's going to be his little niche, and then I assume he'll probably get some work up front too at some point. Maybe we'll have a game where we're up 3-1 or something with 20 minutes left, and he'll come in for Johnny and get some work up front. I assume that'll probably happen a few times.
Right. I would agree.
But I am cool with how they're using him. Happy for it too, because he's such a nice guy. I felt like I hated last year. It just felt like we were constantly dogging on him. Rightfully so, I think, in my opinion.
Right.
but it's one of those like, God, he's such a nice guy. I just want it to work for him.
Yeah. A very quick fun story. I actually so I was at a random like game convention. It was like video gaming convention with a friend. And I actually just ran into a guy wearing a sporting jersey and I was like, "Hey, going to the game?" One of those. And we actually started to chat and he actually knows Kyrie personally.
Oh.
And well, it's one of those where I was like, yeah, well, and then there's Kyrie, and then he was like, yeah, I actually know Kyrie personally. I was like, whoops.
I bet that's his default response to as soon as people are like, Kyrie, he goes, he's my best friend. I live with him. So before you finish whatever you're going to say.
But he actually agreed with me. He was like, yeah, I mean, he's not producing on the pitch. He's not doing well enough, but he's a fantastic guy. So I want him to do well. Like it is just universally, that is the thing I hear over and over again is he is a fantastic human being and a great person. You just got to do better.
Yeah.
Which he has been. So credit where that's due. But anyway, I just wanted to say that because I thought that was fun.
That's random, but good. Yeah. I like that. Cool. Who's your MVP?
I have two. My real MVP, Tim Leibold, 2 weeks in a row. Really poor defense on the goal. They just made him look silly on the offside trap. And yeah, Tim Leibold.
Nice. Who's your second one? It's not going to be mine.
I don't know if it is. Or I don't know if it's not. Mine is Stephen Fry.
Well, that's mine. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Fry is my MVP.
It was so bad.
Which I love. I felt so... I enjoyed typing that name there so much. I hate Stephen Fry. So
yeah,
cool tattoos, but I don't like you. So I'm really happy to put you at MVP. So
that's valid. Yeah, no, he looked terrible, which was strange because as much as we may hate him, he's a really quality goalkeeper.
He is, but there have been a lot of calls from Seattle fans that it's time to bench Stephen Fry, and this game has just fueled that. Right. They think he's past his prime. He probably is. He's old. So
probably.
Who knows? We'll see.
It was ironic because I saw an article it was tagged on Reddit, and I don't know how it posted up or it showed up on my Reddit, but it showed a picture of the game of the Sporting and Seattle game, and it said yet again another position from drop points, and I was like, my immediate reaction was talking about us again, but I was like, wait, we won.
Yeah, wait a minute.
And then I realized that like Seattle's had like a lot of the same shoutings that we had. Like they're doing a lot of the same stuff we are.
Just a couple more wins.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
And even that, I'm trying to go to the table here real quick. I don't think it's that many more wins.
Now they only have
one more win than we do.
Right. They have fewer draws, I think.
I can't remember the order. Draws in the middle on Seattle. So they're 4, 6, and 7. We're 3, 5, and 9. They have one more draw than we do, and we have 2 more losses.
Yeah, they're only 4 points clear of us.
Yeah. So they have had a very similar season. They've just had one win and a draw in between that time that we lost 7 in a row.
Yeah, because we also have a game in hand on. Oh, no, we don't. Never mind.
No, we do not. Anyway, all right, cool. Well, that puts a nice little bow on the Seattle game, I think.
I love it.
A few topics, if you want to talk about them now, that I would like to mention.
Let's do it.
That I'd like to talk about before we move into the other Seattle beatdown that happened this weekend. And I'm not talking about the Royals, who also beat down on Seattle this weekend.
Didn't even realize that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was literally just a KC beatdown of Seattle. Royals take 2 of 3. They did lose by 1 in the 10th inning on Sunday. So they were 2 runs, I guess, away from us completely sweeping Seattle.
Dang.
But close. Still, complete domination, I would say. Yeah. Okay, 2 things. The first one, I want to talk about any lineup changes that you would like to see in the future, or any that you think would be helpful, or ones that could actually happen, ones that could actually be coming. The first one that I'm going to throw out is Shallowy has been bad this year.
Agreed.
He's also conveniently injured. Do you think we see Vargas instead of Shallowy this weekend?
Yeah, 100%. I hope so, at least.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect like-for-like comparison. Vargas plays a little bit better on the right. And maybe...
Yeah, I expect they'll switch Johnny and Vargas.
Right. but yeah, I think that's a fantastic way to get him some more minutes, especially because I mean Peter's talked so highly on him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
My only thought on that one
Mhm.
is the only time that we have spoke negatively of Vargas was in a start.
That is true. That is very true.
So it kind of makes me wonder if we actually see like Kyrie start for Shallowy and Vargas is the sub.
I would much rather not.
Yeah, me too. But
I think Vargas is young enough where, again, it's that conversation we've had before about, you know, sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit of talent,
mm-hmm.
of skill level, whenever we're talking about newer players or younger players. I'm sorry. And I think this is one of those where I think Peter recognizes the upside potential with Vargas is high enough where I think we're willing to take a little bit of mistakes as long as he's not continuing to make those same mistakes, which I don't think he is. I do think we're seeing some really good growth from him. I think we're starting to see him learn from his mistakes. So I really do think we see Vargas, but I know obviously it's Peter. You never know. He'll probably throw Leibold up there or something. I don't know.
I like. I hope it's Vargas. I do. I agree. We just need to. This is a perfect case of we need to see a little bit more youth, and yeah, maybe we sacrifice that skill just a little bit.
Right.
But maybe not even. Maybe that was just that one start. He just didn't have a good game. Maybe we actually get more starts and he starts playing like he has been off the bench. But
right. Which that was one of, I mean, I don't know if one of the topics you're talking about is the article from the Star, but that's that is one of the comments that was made was, you know, we have to start getting younger, we have to start going youth. And I mean, I think we've all been saying it for a while, so I think this is a great way to start.
Yeah. All right. Well, I agree. I do think there's a slight chance that we see Kyrie instead of Vargas, and Vargas comes off the bench again because, like we said, Peter's usually hesitant to do that kind of stuff. He clearly trusts Kyrie more. I will say I do prefer having Vargas start, but I'm not going to be upset if he does it with Kyrie starts and Vargas comes in, just because Vargas off the bench is like such an advantage. Like as long as he comes in earlier than like the 87th minute, like he's done a couple times. But you know, if he's bringing him in the 70th minute or even before, that is such a nice tool that I don't hate keeping it as that just for right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
If that's what it needs to be, like let's pull him off the bench, you know, for 20 minutes. Now we've got fresh speed and he's the fastest kid in the league.
Right.
Like, let's do it. So, because Kyrie's not slow either. So, Kyrie's also very fast.
Right. Kyrie can be very fast when he wants to be. That's
that's true. Yeah.
It's one of, again, I get a little nervous seeing us just try to throw Kyrie back in what hasn't obviously worked.
Yeah.
But I think this will be a great way to have Peter show that he is willing to adapt as he says he is.
Yeah.
Let's not just do what we're comfortable with and the players you're used to. Let's get the new kid out there.
I think the hardest part of this decision for me is the fact that we're playing the Galaxy on Saturday.
Right.
Like if we were playing FC Dallas or San Jose or New England or you know, Portland, something like that. Yeah, give Vargas, but like we're playing a team that is not going to be easy to beat, and we're in LA playing at their facility. Like this isn't going to be an easy thing to deal with, regardless. So
no, I agree.
So having the experience in there off the get go I could see how you could justify that being the smarter move, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I could see how you could justify it.
So
yeah.
It sounds like we almost agree 100%. It's like we both really want to see Vargas. That's what we want.
Yeah.
But if you're going to throw Kyrie out there and Vargas sub, I don't like it, but I understand.
Oh, right. I would agree with that. I can.
Like, I don't like it, but
I can get behind saying if you're going to do it, fine, but Vargas needs to come on early.
Yeah.
Vargas cannot come on the 89th minute.
Now, would you prefer... This would be curious. Would you prefer to see Kyrie and then Vargas sub, or Shallowy start and Vargas sub? Assuming Shallowy's not injured.
Right. Let's assume that Shallowy is actually fine.
Mhm.
Um,
I'm curious if Shallowy has reached that point yet where it's like, well, actually,
I think Shallowy needs not motivation is the right word, but he needs to be reminded that his position is not infallible.
Mhm.
So I think if nothing else, but just to kind of remind Shallowy that he can lose his spot too. Um, I I would say, Vargas is the better option to go with. Again, I'm more willing to go with youth than I think maybe some other people are. I think more than you are. I think we've kind of learned that. So I'm willing to accept a few more mistakes from a young player as long as they're growing and progressing. So for me, if we get a really good game from Vargas and he does really well, I'm more than happy to see that keep going. So I think regardless if Shallowy, even if Shallowy is perfectly fine, I would still love to see Vargas starting to get some more starts instead of Shallowy. Yeah.
fair enough. That was not the question, though.
You're right. It wasn't the question. I think in this game, I would rather see. You're making me second guess myself because you bringing up the fact that it was Galaxy was like, oh yeah,
I know, yeah. I'm so let me reword. The question that I'm really trying to ask is: has Shallowy's performance recently? Are you to the point yet with Shallowy where you would almost rather it be Kyrie start over Shallowy, assuming that Vargas being the sub is coming regardless of who starts? So we'll take out Vargas starting altogether. That is not happening.
Right.
So is Shallowy's performance recently bad enough that you would prefer Kyrie there over Shallowy?
No, if that's the question, no, I wouldn't.
I think I honestly agree with a lot of what you were saying. Oh, first of all, with regards to Vargas, I agree with everything you said.
Okay, got it.
I do, but I almost would transition that over to being like, yeah, Shallowy does need to wake up. So what I would say is, start Kyrie, and then sub on Shallowy.
Yeah.
And Vargas. Shove them both on. Pull out Johnny and actually pull out Polito, honestly. Pull out Polito for Vargas. But
I would love
to
see Vargas. That's actually a really good statement you just said. I would love to see Vargas at the 9.
Me too.
I don't know if he's got it. I don't know if he can. Like his speed and his play style really seems to suit winger. But I'd love to see him try it.
Yeah.
I've seen worse things.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true. All right. I want to move on to my second one because this one might be the longer one. So
okay.
You did just reference it. Did you read the Kansas City Star article by Sam McDowell?
I did, yes. Okay. I intentionally did not respond back to your text because I wanted to wait for this conversation.
100%. I assume that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
Great.
It basically, those of you who listen to our podcast every week will know. Last week we talked about another article that was written in the Soccer Journal, KC Soccer Journal, I think.
Correct. Yes.
This was the Kansas City Star. Exact opposites, pretty much. Not exact. I mean, one of them was a opinion about why Peter should be fired.
Right.
This one is just an interview with the owner.
Correct.
About how Peter is not going to be fired. So opinion piece versus factual interview. So not exact opposite, but sentiment wise, it's pretty much the exact opposite. So Elig says they are not firing Peter. Their main goal is to look for an overhaul, starting with this summer transfer window.
Yep.
Which tells me they are making moves this summer.
Yes.
And continue it into the offseason. He did mention a lot of the offseason or a lot of the contracts that are going to be up. And basically, without saying it, telling us this will not be the team on the field next year.
Right.
Now, whether they do it or not, I understand is completely separate. So I think you and I can both acknowledge that that's separate. That's a separate thing.
Yeah.
But for the perspective of this particular conversation, we're going to throw that out.
Right. We're just going to assume that what he's saying is what they're going to do.
We're going to take it at face value. What he said is what they're going to do.
Understood.
So,
okay.
I'm curious what your thoughts were on that because you were strongly in agreement with the article last week about that it's time to let Peter go.
Correct. I was.
So I'm curious. Not that this will change your opinion, because like I said, all this is basically what I was saying. They're not firing Peter.
Right.
So I'm curious if this changes your opinion at all.
So, firstly, I do want to say before I go into answering your question, I was actually going to bring up the article, even if you weren't, although I was fairly confident you were,
Yeah.
because I have decided that as a sports broadcaster, I guess I don't know, we make a podcast. It's as somebody who covers sporting, I have decided
Hey,
we do have media.
we have
credentials.
media passes, okay?
We do. I will no longer on this podcast say Verme's out. I will no longer gripe about it. It's obviously not going to do anything. It's obviously not. So I am no longer going to harp on that. I am done talking about it from here on out. That will not be a topic of conversation on this podcast brought up by me. If you bring it up, I will go running to the races with it. But I'm no longer going to bring it up because, as has been very clearly shown, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, now I may text you differently, but
100%. Yeah.
in this podcast, I am done talking about it. So everybody who hates listening to me say Verme's out every week, it is done. Now, that being said, what was your question again?
I don't remember.
I think it was just general opinion.
Yeah. One thing I want to say on that, though.
Okay.
This is the joys of, kind of like you were saying, you said, of being a sports broadcaster / we started a podcast. I'll tell you what the difference is. We can have and voice our opinions.
That is
we don't have people telling us, hey, you can't say that.
Right.
We don't have that. That's why we go this route. That's why you don't work for Kansas City Star writing articles, or you don't work for the Soccer Journal doing that kind of stuff. So if you want to be pro Verme's out, that's you, man. I don't care.
I will say, I think the canon is very clearly established that I am Verme's out. I will, honestly, it would be very hard for me to change my opinion. I think this offseason will be the true test of whether or not I will change my opinion. This offseason and the beginning of next season to see other changes as well. So it will be very hard for me to change my mind. It's purely from the fact of coaches just don't last that long. There's a reason that coaches don't stay at clubs for 20 years, and that's because you have to naturally grow. Eventually, your systems just don't work anymore. And most coaches just can't quite adapt systems as well. They kind of have a way that they play the game, and that's how it was. So anyway, I will always be pro Verme's out, but I'm just sick of talking about it all the time, and I'm just sick of it. So I will not bring it up anymore.
Well, I have no idea if I will. No promises. But like you said, I think everybody's aware you're pretty much Verme's out. I'm I wouldn't say very much not Verme's out, but I'm very much not Verme's out.
Correct.
I am on the other side of that. I don't think we should fire him. This run has made me lean a little more towards Verme's out. But honestly, this article really made me realize why I was not Verme's out to begin with. Like reading everything that ownership said, I was like, yeah, that's what I've been saying for 2 seasons. And I just want it to happen. Right. We just need it to happen.
And I would agree with you. Like, and I guess to answer your question of what is my opinion on this, for me, they're saying exactly what they need to say. The issue I'm so pro Verme's out is because it's really hard for a coach to be able to do that, to execute on that. It's also really hard for a player acquisition manager to do that, which Peter is both of them. So the fact that they are being very clear that they are going to remove some duties from Peter, and Peter is going to focus much more on coaching, I think is a really, really good thing. I think that is desperately needed. In my opinion, that is very high up on the list of that's probably the number one thing that needs to happen for us to be able to get out of this.
Agreed.
Them admitting that roster turnover has to happen. We cannot continue to keep running with the same players, add 1 or 2, subtract 1 or 2. We have to have a massive overhaul, and there has to be an overhaul in the way that we're approaching literally everything we're doing. The fact that they're recognizing all that and they're saying it, I think is a good thing. I think they're saying all of the right things. The reason I've been so pro Verme's out is because they That, to me, that has been obvious. That's what they need to do. And it's really hard for a coach and a player or manager to be able to do all that. And Peter hasn't been doing all of that for the last several years. So for me, that's always been my big struggle. Now, I'm willing to say, listen, you're saying the right things. If you're going to do this, I'm on board. I'm on board 100%. And so for me, if I look at it and I say, all right, I'm going to take you at face value, I'm going to take what you're saying and actually say it's true, then yeah, I'm all on board with this. This is exactly what this club needs, because we are deeply stuck in a rut that we've been in for years and years. And that rut is getting harder and harder for us to get out of.
All right. So it sounds to me like you're still you're still Vermes out, but optimistic that could change.
I am willing to say that I could change my mind if they do what they say they're going to do. Yeah.
All right, cool.
If they can do that, then yes, I am willing to say, all right, Vermes can stay, which I'd be happy to do so. Because again, that was kind of the thing I loved, is that, like, we love Vermes, we appreciate Vermes for all he's done, but it might be time. But just because he's not doing the job anymore, if he can go back to doing the job and doing it well, absolutely. I've obviously, Peter's done a lot for us, and I want him to continue to do so. He just hasn't done it. So
yeah, I agree. That's, to me, sounds like this article did exactly what it was supposed to. Then it bolstered people's opinions who don't want Peter to be fired, and people who do, they maybe still want him to be fired, but at least they can read it and go, okay, well, at least there seems to be a plan in place,
right?
That they have now come out and told us. We understand, we see all these issues, and we do have a plan for it. Obviously, they can't tell, they're not going to tell us who they're targeting even in this summer transfer window, even though we all know it's Antoine Griezmann. We all know that.
Right.
Theo Tromans so
they just missed on Mbappe. I'm sure. I'm sure that was, like, they were the number 2 team. For sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
When they signed Griezmann, are you going to buy me a jersey? I think it's fair.
I'll pay for the customization on a jersey. How about that?
Yeah, that'll work.
All right, deal.
Yeah, I think this article was great. One quote that I want to read, because it touches on something that you said last week about if Peter has lost the locker room.
Okay.
Illig said, "No, I know he hasn't. I've talked to a lot of the guys on that. No one has said that. In fact, they've gone out of their way to say that is not the case. I don't foresee any reason why they would lie about that. I can't think why he would just make that up. I can't see the guys in the locker room reading that article and going, yeah, we didn't say that. So I do believe that Peter probably hasn't lost the locker room. I never really thought that he did, but I could 100% understand why people would think that he had. I just think you can't be this much of a club legend and lose respect in the locker room like ever. I just don't know how you would. It's like, because if nothing else, it's like, hey, listen to this man talk. His name's on the wall outside. Like, he's on the top. I don't know if he's actually on the top row of the wall, but he should be. Like, I realize it's just in order, but still, like, his name should be on the top of the wall, not just on it. His name should be all the way at the top.
Yeah.
Like, why would we not listen to this guy? So
that's fair.
I thought it was really positive to see that particular quote. That's a good thing to me, and that's a good step. Except for all the people who aren't trying and are going to get kicked out. I don't care what your opinions are. Get out.
Yeah. The one comment I did, and actually our buddy who sits in front of us in the cauldron said hi. But him and I were talking, and one interesting thing he said that I really agreed with was it can be a very hard juggling act to say 3/4 of you aren't going to be here next year. That's a really hard thing to get people to get around. Some of them will fight for their spot. Some of them will play well to, try to audition tape for a new team, but some of them will just give up. And I guess that's probably a really good way to determine who's willing, who should stay, who shouldn't. But it is a big statement to say in the middle of your season when you're trying to mount a comeback. So that was the one comment that I was like, that's a good point. So I don't know. It's just a thought.
Yeah. All right. Well, that puts a nice bow on that one too, I think.
I agree.
If for no other reason, we're already at 50 minutes, and we don't like to have crazy long episodes, and we haven't talked about anything else yet. So,
sorry, Steve's dead.
Yeah, right. All right. We're going to move over to Current Corner here because the Kansas City Current, I don't know if anybody watched. I hope they did.
Yeah.
What a game.
Yeah.
What a game this one was. 5-2 final against the other Seattle soccer team.
Right.
The goals in order, Timwa Chawinga scores in the 28th minute. Remember that name. Lauren, who replaced Gabriella Robinson after she tore her ACL, ties it up right before half.
Yeah. Didn't I can never say her name.
DiBernardo.
Yeah. Didn't she score first? She scored in the 46th, didn't she?
Right, which is after 45 plus 2.
Right, that's what it is. I wish they would say 45 plus 2.
What side are you on?
NWSL.com.
Well, ESPN says 45 plus 2, so looks like we've decided which one we need to mutually switch to.
I will never mutually switch to ESPN.
I'm just saying, you have to go to 2 websites. I only have to go to 1.
Sure.
Yeah, she scored right at stoppage time, right before halftime to tie it back up.
Yep.
DiBernardo comes out and scores immediately.
Yeah.
And then Timwa scores immediately after that. So we went from first half was really close, 2-2 at the half, and then we came out, immediately scored 2 goals, and this game is a runaway freight train for the good guys, in our case. Well, in everyone's case, because anytime a Seattle team loses, it's a good day.
Well, the good girls.
Oh,
not
right,
the good guys.
Yeah, true. Excuse me, sorry.
Well, but then you say, it's a weird phrase to say.
Good gals is probably what I would say.
Good gals, that's a better way to say it. I like that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's less creepy.
Yeah. I said it, and I was like, oh, I didn't like the way I said that.
Yeah. And then Lola Banta slots a penalty kick in the 67th minute for the 5th goal. Just great. Back up on top of the table, 28 points. We are technically tied with Orlando on points. However, we have +4 goal differential over them, putting us in first place. Rightfully so, if I do say so myself. Current doing current things. All right, well, your turn.
All right, I'm going to take us on the massive trip around the league.
Only like 5 games this weekend.
Buckle up. Let's do this. Hang on, sorry, I had to get back there. So sorry. I left the screen.
That's okay. I'm pretty sure that our internet glitched, and I said my thing right at the same time you said yours, so that'll be fun for people to listen to.
It still looks a little weird. Anyway, starting off in New England Revolution beating New York Red Bulls. Holy cow. 1-0.
Yeah, right?
Minnesota hosting Dallas, playing to a 1-1 draw, and then St. Louis hosting Portland to a 0-0 draw. And that's it.
Did you by chance watch the Minnesota Sporting game last Saturday on Apple TV?
I did.
You did? So you heard the announcers talking about how cool the jerseys are in Minnesota?
I did hear them say that, yeah.
Okay. For like 10 minutes,
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Cool jerseys.
In
Good, bad, and ugly.
If they would have named him appropriately, it would have been better.
What did they name him? I don't even remember. Isn't it like Galaxy something?
It's Northern Lights or something.
No, that was last year.
I understand. They called them Northern Lights again this year. Something like that.
Did they really?
I thought so. Maybe not.
I'll find it. Hit me with your good.
My good. Congratulations to the new youngest signing in MLS history. 14-year-old Kevin Sullivan with a record homegrown signing. Congratulations to him. He joined the Philadelphia Union Academy at 10 years old. And he becomes the youngest player in MLS history to sign a first-team MLS contract. Congratulations to him. Although, if you look at the photos, that man is not 14 years old. That is a 20-year-old man. You're not fooling us, Philadelphia.
That's what 14-year-olds look like now, Logan. Not when we were 14.
Refuse.
They're not the goofy-looking, scrawny kids that we were when we were 14.
grown man over here trying to say he's 14 years old to get the
Yeah.
kids meal. It's ridiculous.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. You're good.
Yes. First of all, I found it, and it is very aptly named. It is the 2024 Starry Night Kit.
Okay, it is the Starry Night Kit. You're right.
Yeah, that is perfectly named.
My beef with it is that it's like Minnesota isn't known for like starry nights. They're known for the northern lights. That's what they're known for. And it's just weird that I don't know. Anyway, continue.
I can tell you as somebody who lived in Minnesota for about 10 years, we're very much known for starry nights.
Do you know who else is known for starry nights? Literally everybody, because guess what? Everybody sees stars.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But not everybody put it on their kit,
for good reason. They're so dumb looking.
My good goes to Elenis Vargas. You're not going to score that kind of goal and have that kind of performance in such a short amount of time and not get the good for me. So
no, that's fair.
Good work, Vargas.
Okay.
Hit me with your bad.
My bad. New York Red Bulls. They're like the worst team in the league. How could you? How could you lose to them? Anyway, that's my bad.
That'll work.
Yeah.
My get bad goes to Brian Schmetzer. Everybody knows who that is, right?
I know I do, but for the sake of everybody listening to the podcast, let's
which is a clever way to say I don't remember who that is. Can you remind me? No, Brian Schmetzer, of course, the coach of Seattle Sounders. He gets my bad for not subbing out Reed Whiting when we put Elenis in.
Yeah.
It was so obvious what was happening, I think, to everybody, including the announcers. As soon as they subbed him in, they're like, they're going to put that kind of speed on somebody that already has a yellow card.
Right.
Pretty clear what they're going for. He 100% should have subbed out Reed Whiting immediately.
Right.
As soon as we subbed in Vargas. Now, Reed Whiting had a pretty good game, so that's probably why he didn't get subbed out. He played pretty well. But still, your first MLS start, you're young, you got a yellow card. We just put somebody with blazing speed in to play against you. Get him out. It's not worth it.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely should have subbed him out. That's a valid point.
So he gets my bad.
Okay, fair
enough.
Hope
he gets fired. He's also on a very, very loud Vermes out, if you will.
Right.
With Seattle Sounders fans, they're not very happy.
Something tells me he also has the exact same status as Peter Vermes.
Yeah, well, he won 2 cups in like 3 years or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So plus he won the CONCACAF it was CONCACAF or whichever one they won like 2 years ago.
Right. As much as Peter Vermes is a club legend, he is much more a club legend for Seattle. Like he has more accolades. He has more justifications for staying on the team than Peter does.
I don't think that's true.
That's not discrediting. That's not discrediting Peter. That's just saying how good of a job he's done in a much less time than Peter's had.
I was going to say number-wise, I don't think he has more. I think it's probably about the same. Actually, Peter probably has more if you factor in Open Cup.
Maybe.
The difference is Schmetzer has done it in like the last 10 years, not 10 years, the last like 8 years or whatever.
Right.
So
unlike Peter, who's done probably a pretty similar amount in like 17 years or whatever it is.
Anyway, hit me with your ugly.
My ugly. There's a lot of people who are really promising about this team. And I'm not going to name them yet, for dramatic effect. There's a lot of people who are really promising on this team. They think that they've got a really good chance at making some noise in an upcoming tournament. They really think that this could be a really good year for this team.
Good. That's what I was hoping.
And then you go out and you get obliterated 5-1, and you look like you didn't have any respect for the game or your opponent. You get my ugly. U.S. men's national team, terrible performance against Colombia. I know it was only a friendly. I know it didn't mean anything, but that was a really bad performance.
Yeah, I agree. That's also my ugly. Losing 1-5 to Colombia EU. A few notes. Berhalter, who I will add, should never have got his job back and 100% needs to be fired immediately.
Okay.
Says this is a wake-up call, a truly poor performance, and shows lack of respect for our opponent and for the game of soccer.
Yeah.
Boy, I hope that's his last press conference. I hate Greg Berhalter. I don't hate him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't want to. I'm not taking personal shots. I just don't want him to be the coach of the U.S. men's national team anymore. And we got a World Cup coming up here. So,
as vocal as I've been about Peter, you've been just as, if not more, vocal about Greg Berhalter.
100%. It's weird that we disagree on these, honestly, because if you think, like, if you objectively step back and look at it, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. It is funny how
it's the exact same thing, but you and I are opposite on it. I'm like, oh, they had a chance. They got rid of Greg Berhalter, and then they were like, okay, you can come back.
Well, they didn't get rid of Greg Berhalter.
Well, he wasn't the coach for a while.
Yeah, that was
because of the investigation stuff, which, you know, that's fine that they did that the right way. I'm glad they did it that way. But they also could have just been like, yeah, everything's good on the investigation. We're good. Nothing happened. All is good. You're not coming back, though.
They could have, and maybe they should have, but they didn't.
Well, you know, there's still time. World Cup's not for a few years, so.
A World Cup is not for a few years. That's true.
He can get fired before. Is he coaching the Olympic team?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I don't think so. I think there's a different coach for the Olympic team.
Good. Maybe he'll go win an Olympic medal, and they'll be like, you know, who knows?
Maybe.
All right. Well, are you looking that up right now?
I am looking that up.
Okay. While you look that up, I'm going to move on and preview our next week before we get to predictions. You can let me know what you find.
Okay.
So next week, this one's going to be tough. We're going to LA to play the LA Galaxy. The LA Galaxy are 7-7-3 or 7-3-7 if you look on MLS. Fourth in the West. We are playing in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the last time we played the Los Angeles Galaxy was at home.
Mm-hmm.
We were winning that game 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
That game did not end 2-0.
It did not. No.
That game ended 3-2. Not for us.
You're correct.
That was
correct.
And another because that one came after the first one, right? This was the first epic meltdown that we lost. The first one we tied.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. So that's when all this started, was back when we played LA. So
right.
True 2 draws between the two of us prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
But our comeback is on, let me tell you. So real quick, before giving us your prediction, who's the coach of the Olympic team?
That would be Marko Mitrovic.
Awesome. Future coach of the World Cup team too, hopefully. You lose 1-5 to Colombia again. He's probably gonna get fired. We play Brazil next, by the way.
Yeah, we do.
In a friendly. So
yeah.
Maybe he'll get beat 6-0 and they'll go, all right, get out of here. Just get.
Maybe.
Anyway, how are you feeling about LA?
Okay, listen. There's obviously a lot of good emotions coming out of last game. As I texted you, it was a very emotional game for me being in the stadium. It was way more emotional than I probably should have gotten about a soccer game.
100%.
And so it's really easy coming out of that game going, oh, we're back, baby, as I see that you have done. I am keeping a lot more level head about it, and I am recognizing we are still not good. We are still very far down on the table, and I think we still need to keep expectations in check. We are going to LA playing a very good team, and I am still not very optimistic about this game. Now that being said, I recognize that this last match is something that is very much of a turning point that could be a big indicator of more to come. So that being said, I'm going to take the cop out, and it's going to be a 2-2 draw.
Well, I always type your prediction. I know I've said this before. I always type your prediction before you say it.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one right.
Okay.
I thought you were going 2-1 LA. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were going with.
And honestly, before we started this podcast, if you asked me, I might have said that, but no, I think we'll look a little bit better. I think we'll take some confidence, and I think we'll do a good draw against a very good opponent on the road.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm going to say that you were wrong last year, and I hope you continue to be wrong, and that this is a turnaround. It's going to be eerily similar to last year.
Yeah.
This is a turnaround. So I have all positive thoughts going into my prediction, which is 2-2 draw. So
yeah, that sounds about right.
Same prediction. However, I'm going into it with a positive, like we're getting a 2-2 draw in LA, and it's going to be on. That's 4 points in 2 games. That's more than we got in 3 months. So perfect.
I know I didn't.
Probably what happened last year too, honestly.
Right. I know I didn't frame it that way, but mine is having a positive spin as well.
Sure.
Listen, we're getting a 2-2 draw on the road in LA. That's a really good result.
Yeah.
But
I was really thought, for the spirit of us having different predictions, I thought about changing to 1-1, but it just really feels like a 2-2,
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's valid.
If for no other reason, I don't think we're keeping Ricky Puig off the board. I don't know how we're going to stop him, frankly. No. We really need to hope that Remy Voltaire comes back and can mirror him. That is not coming straight from me. That's coming from no other pod. I just agree with him.
Fair enough.
I hope he can just shadow him. You live in Ricky Puig's pocket this entire game.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't know how we're going to stop him. So I think he scores. I think we can get 2. So, but I'm thinking we draw this. So that's why I go 2-2.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So, I don't know. We'll see. Point update. You and I gladly will take no points last week because we both picked that we would lose to Seattle. So
yeah,
still 10-11.
That's fair. I'm all for it.
Awesome. Well, it's been long enough. Not that much longer than our normal episodes, Dad.
No, that much longer. It's like 20 minutes longer.
What else are you doing right now, Dad?
Right, you're retired. What are you doing right now?
Listening to us. That's what you're doing. We did Good, Bad, and Ugly already. There's the preview. Okay. Someday I'll remember to switch those before we get to
one of these days. I'm just going to fire you from that.
I'm just saying you have access to these panels too.
Yeah, I know I do.
All right, let's get everybody out of here. Our podcast, of course, I'm not going to list all the things anymore because we don't do that anymore. We are still streaming on Fired Up Network on True TV app, which you can get on Roku TVs. The best way I found it. Pretty sure they're on Apple products too, though. I cannot get it on my phone, which is annoying, but I have it on my TV, so I don't need it on my phone.
There you go.
So that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Check us out there all week. Thursday night, pretty sure, is when we go up for our live. Of course, it's pre-recorded, so it's not really live, but
right.
But anyway, that's all I got. You got anything else?
That's all I got.
Logan, I appreciate you as always.
I appreciate you, Steve.
You all have a great weekend.
See you guys.